long road to hell. 45 kilometres of jungle and 41 kilometres of trails. Hills and water, soft sand and rock-hard paths. This is the most demanding stage of all.
This is checkpoint 4. This is the what we call the dark zone. So runners that don't get through here before 4 o'clock are obliged to spend the night because there's still 6 kilometers of jungle and it's pretty dangerous. We've seen jaguar this morning and we've seen wild pig. So moving out at night is a bit tricky. But having said that, the guys are coming through so fast, we think everyone will be through before they cut off.
Well, I was leading the group and disturbed a load of black wasps or bees, stung everywhere. Geez, I never experienced anything before in my life like that, but we had to run and it was a bit of a hill and none of us thought, breathed, right, we didn't run out of breath or nothing, we just kept running and running and running and they came sort of after us and then they left us. Madness, boy. It's a jungle, isn't it?
We've had a few problems today with competitors passing through a swarm of wasps. One girl got stung up to 20 times. Fortunately, it was just all local reactions that were treated with some oral antihistamines and some antihistamine cream. So far the competitors are okay and hopefully it'll carry on like that.
Ronan, yeah, this is astronaut food seemingly. Produces very little waste afterwards. Maybe you wanted to know that, I'm not too sure. Only perspiration, etc, etc. Handy in this type of races.
Interesting, some people are just pushing on through, others are actually attending to feet, sorting themselves out before they move on to the next bit. They're out in the jungle in just a few kilometres and then they're hoping just to tab along quite fast, I think.
Trail mix, sweeties, Haribo, jelly beans, licorice, dried berries. Woo.
The waterlogged feet, they get wet, they stay wet, they get here. There's a lot of increased damage, a lot of comments on damaged toenails. Only a few people have been so hurting that they've had to have us do any repair of their feet, but they're complaining and saying, as soon as I take my shoes off, I know it's going to be terrible. The major thing has been toenail damage at this point right now, just because of sliding and slipping around in the shoes and hitting the fronts. And the expansion of the foot, their feet are a full size larger than when they started this race now because of the swelling and the inflammation. Blisters, they've learned how to deal with it by this time, so they're complaining about it, but when you're out running, you kind of, after a few minutes, you kind of don't feel it anymore until you stop, and that's probably why it draws their attention quite a bit too. But what's interesting is that early in the race, the Brazilian feet seem to hold up real well, but now we're seeing damage even in the Brazilian feet. So this is hard even for the people who are used to being in the jungle on a daily basis. Although there's some barefoot runners that are doing great and some sandals that are doing pretty good. I haven't seen anyone with perfect feet, that's for sure.
The next stage from here is 11k, 6 kilometers jungle and 5 kilometers of really nice, easy community paths. So I think the runners, as they move out of here, they're all pretty keen to hit the coast road and move into the night stage on the flat coast road. So I don't think we'll have anyone overnight here.
Parti à 4h30 du matin. Après, il a fait jour.
Basically, he's saying really simply that he ran with the Brazilians a lot of the way. He basically ran the majority of the course, and that's what's enabled him to come here so quickly, to come in so quickly.
On a couru beaucoup, exprès pour qu'on puisse arriver, pour qu'on fasse le maximum dans la journée. Il y a beaucoup d'eau.
Basically, he's saying the stage is very, very difficult. There's lots of undulating terrain. There's not been enough water on the way, or he's been sweating very much. The people that are running behind are going to find it increasingly difficult, he believes, because of the very difficult terrain, the heat, and the water loss.
Non, non. Moi, je ne veux pas gagner. De toute façon, je pense pas gagner parce que
he thinks that he's lost his chance of winning because of the time he lost on the first and second stages, and also it's because there's 3 Brazilians who are in front of him at the moment.
Ils sont devant.
Every part of me is good, but my feet are destroyed.
So? Yeah, and I probably is, but
We are stupid.
always.
I hate the jungle.
Me too.
And it's amazing when the feet dry how much they can heal. Hopefully they'll be okay for Friday and I can have a good final stage and get this craziness over with. I think going into today I assumed that the hard part would be the jungle, and it turned out to be wrong, because we actually got out of the jungle a little sooner than I anticipated, and that put us out on the open roads about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which was the hottest time, and so from 1 until 5 we had 0 protection. That's not right, is it? There's one hazard to running in the dark when you're near the front of the pack, and that's that in this particular case we actually were ahead of the guy putting up the glow sticks. So there were no lumilights up for us, so we actually had to do like a treasure hunt for every flag.
This marathon have 2 Korean people. So one of them is a blind man. He was crying many days because he can't complete this race. First day he failed 20 times, more than 20 times. After finished the first stage, he have failed all the time, step by step.
Going up a hill with Axon and Ray, we got attacked by about 15 wasps. I got stung just above the ear, was throbbing for a good 2 or 3 hours, thought I might finish my race, but Katrina sorted it out with some cream. I think generally everyone's suffered today, but I mean it's to be expected really. Now I feel like I can't actually take my trainers off, because if I do I think, well, I'm not quite sure what happened to my feet actually. So now it's the worst of it over. As well, I've just got the final stage. You know, my first one. You know, didn't know what to expect, and I've been told that this is the one of the toughest ultras, the Jungle Marathon. So, all things considered, I'm well happy with how I've done. It's funny how your body just, I think, sort of goes onto autopilot after such a long amount of time, and it's amazing what your body can do if you sort of mentally you overcome the fatigue.
Wasps out there.
That was terrible.
It was ugly. It was scary.
It was scary. Just my feet, dude. Like, they were making me nauseous. Like, I was screaming when I was out there. It was so sore. Maybe I'll never be able to walk on them again. So I'm walking down the road tonight, you guys, and I just about stepped on the biggest friggin' tarantula I've ever seen in my life. That includes pet store tarantulas. It was crazy. Did you see any, dude?
No.
Oh, man. It just went out of the way of my foot, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I almost stepped on that. You should have seen me jump, eh? Like, I was freaked out.
That was a joke.
It's quite strange. I wasn't expecting there to be many females in the race, but I wasn't prepared for quite so few. But to be honest, I'm quite happy. I was really worried I was going to be left behind. I was the only girl that hadn't done anything like this before, and I was going to be right at the back. But obviously, it's not quite that bad. The snake was. I was scared. I was petrified. I was screaming like a baby, and like to be running is honestly no aches and pains, nothing, no blisters. I was running for all I was worth, and it was dark, and I didn't care what I stepped on. I was just running down that track.
You forget completely that there's a whole world going on out there.